Epictetus was born enslaved. He owned nothing, controlled nothing, and had no reason by the standards of history to believe his life would matter. And yet he produced one of the clearest philosophies of freedom ever articulated. Not freedom from circumstance, but freedom within it. Epictetus did not begin with theory. He began with constraint. As a slave in the Roman Empire, his body was not his own. His labor was commanded, his future uncertain, his safety contingent. Later in life, he would be physically disabled, a permanent reminder that control over the body is never guaranteed. This was not a philosophy developed in comfort. It was a philosophy forged under conditions where illusion could not survive. Epictetus understood something early that most people spend their lives resisting: that suffering does not come from what happens to us. It comes from what we demand should not have happened. He divided the world with ruthless clarity. Some things are up to us, some things are not. Our opinions, our judgments, our desires, our responses, these are ours. Fame, health, power, the behavior of others, the past, the future, these are not. Confusion begins when we invert this order. Epictetus saw that most human misery is not caused by loss, pain, or injustice alone, but by the insistence that reality must obey our preferences. When it does not, resentment follows, fear follows, anger follows. He did not ask people to deny suffering. He asked them to locate it accurately. Chains could restrain the body. They could not command the mind, unless the mind surrendered first. This was not motivational optimism. It was psychological precision. Epictetus believed that freedom is not the absence of constraint, but the mastery of judgment. To him, a person enslaved by appetite, fear, or status was not free, even if they ruled an empire, and a person deprived of comfort and position could still be internally sovereign. This inversion made his teaching unsettling, because it removes the excuse that freedom requires permission. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by events, but by the meanings we attach to them. This was not a call to indifference. It was a call to responsibility. If your suffering is shaped by your judgments, then clarity becomes a moral obligation. You cannot outsource it. Epictetus did not promise happiness. He promised coherence, a mind aligned with reality rather than fighting it. He warned against the quiet addiction to control, the belief that peace will arrive once the world rearranges itself properly. He saw that this belief keeps people permanently dissatisfied, waiting, complaining, delaying responsibility for their own response. Instead, he offered something sterner and more durable: freedom that begins immediately, where expectation ends. His students included slaves, soldiers, and later emperors, most famously Marcus Aurelius. But Epictetus never sought power. He taught without writing a single book himself. His words were recorded by students who recognized something rare: a mind that could not be intimidated by circumstance. He insisted that dignity is internal, that no one can insult you unless you consent to be insulted, that no one can harm your character unless you abandon it. This does not remove injustice from the world, but it prevents injustice from owning the self. Epictetus understood that life is unstable by nature. Health fails, reputation fades, bodies weaken, fortunes reverse. To build identity on these is to guarantee collapse. So he built elsewhere, in attention, in judgment, in discipline. He trained the mind to meet reality without distortion, not to control events, but to meet them without surrendering coherence. This is why his philosophy endures. Not because it is comforting, but because it is usable. In illness, in loss, in confinement, in uncertainty. Epictetus does not ask us to become invulnerable. He asks us to become precise, to stop wasting energy demanding what was never promised, to stop confusing preference with necessity, to stop handing inner freedom to external conditions. He offers a form of strength that does not require domination, a form of freedom that does not depend on luck, a form of dignity that cannot be revoked. Epictetus did not escape constraint. He mastered the only domain that mattered, and that clarity, more than status, comfort, or circumstance, is why his mind remains worth entering now.